Now, what to put into a GDD? Everything. Everything. Okay. A game design document is a very, very detailed document, guys. I'm not going to lie. For a game designer, your work your work is going to be mostly before the game production even starts. Like a game designer, 50% of a game designer's work is going to be done before the game production starts, because you're going to be basically writing the documentation. Let's see any questions. Shravan is asking, can the visual part of the GDD be included in the concept document as well? You can have some visualization in the concept document, but remember, the concept document can't be too long. You can have just maybe one screenshot or something. If it's kind of complicated, right? If it's something complicated, you can put it there. Visual, as in it can be diagrams, it could be pictures. Okay. So are you guys ready to see the game design document, the big one? Somebody's asking, is GDD a game design document needs updation through game production? Yes, the game design document is like a live breathing thing throughout the production of the game. As you're making the game is going to keep changing, because you're going to drop features, add features, modify features, art, everything is going to keep changing, and you have to keep working on the game design documentation all the time, all the time. All right, so I'm going to start. Are you guys ready? So this is a game design document, guys, that I made at Vancouver Film School. It's and I love it. I spent like 3 months making this. I must have spent hundreds of hours on this. As you can see, okay, the date is for today, but this is actually around 12 to 13 years ago that I made this. But it's still awesome, right? It is a game concept that I came up with. So this is a game called Karma. I'm the master of my fate. That's a tagline of this game, right? Now, like, we haven't even reached the game. This is just the table of contents, right? This is just table of contents. It's quite good because you can actually click on each one of them and you can actually go to that page. Trust me, if you have a game design document that has 50 pages, you actually need to have a clickable menu. Okay, so this is the table of contents. It's still the table of contents, right? Slide 3. Next, design history. Now, the interesting thing is, if you make a GDD on Google Drive, then you don't have to make a design history, because Google is awesome. On Google, you can see what changes were made. It's awesome, right? If you're making a Google Doc for your game design, you can actually you don't need to have design history. But design history is really useful, because what happens is that if someone is referring to the game, like a programmer, and you make changes, like you change something, they can actually go and see, okay, that this thing that I'm making, the specification has actually changed, right? Now, somebody's asking, Abhinay is asking, how much time should it take to finish a game design document? It depends upon the game. A game design document for a game like Uncharted would take months, right? It would take 5 designers 5 months to write a game design document like that. However, if you, yes, this is made to look old specifically on purpose, because it's a, yeah, it's a stylized thing. Yeah, so anyway, there you go. This is the version history. And now let's get in. So this is a game overview. This is a massive game. It never got made, but it was a concept which we had to write for a really, really big, massive RPG. So this is a very, very detailed game design document. It doesn't, if you're making like a free runner, or you're making like a top down simple game, you don't have to go so much in detail. But I'm showing you everything. Like, if you're working for AAA, this is what you guys would do, right? Yes, multiple game designers can work on a single game. So game overview, this is where I've written the high concept, and a little bit about the word karma. So this is basically kind of like a philosophical understanding of what the game is. You can put some common questions. What is the game? Why create this game? Where does the game take place? What do I control? How many characters do I control? What are the goals, objectives of this game, right? And I've actually written all these things down here. What is the main focus, and basically kind of like overview of the game, right? Next up, feature set. Now, this is a game in which there are a lot of features. It's a very feature rich game. Obviously, I didn't have to make it. I just had to make a game design document so I could actually go crazy. I could go wild. Now, here I've given highlights, right? So here what I've done is I've just described the highlights of the features, survival, armed combat, attributes, just a very, very brief, kind of like a very, very brief description of each. And then from feature set, I go into feature details, right? So for example, here I've written like I've written attributes is number 3. Here what I'm doing is I'm actually describing each attribute in great detail. So the player has the following attributes: health. Now, if you say health, my player has health, you have to explain that in insane detail as to what exactly health means, right? So health is a value from 0 to 100 with a possibility of up to 50 bonus health points, right? The things that affect health are starvation, is illness, and hit damage. Food plays a pivotal role. So here you can see your attribute, your health comes from food. So I've actually given an example of some food items like bread small, bread large, cheese, and yak fat cake. And I've actually given a value, I've actually given a calorific value for each one of these bread items. Now, what you see here, these numbers, this is a what I call a PIE, PIE. It's called a pre-iteration estimate. It means that when you're making a game design document, you're going to actually put some values inside which are not tested. Okay, it's possible that it's wrong. It's possible that when you're actually building the game, it's not going to be 200. You're going to change it 300 or 400, but you have to put in a number to start with, right? That number is probably going to change after iteration. You have to put in a PIE. You have to put in a pre-iteration estimate of a number in your game design document, right? But don't be like, oh, I don't know what it's going to be. Put in the number. It's probably going to change, but you still have to put in the number. Okay, next up. So as you can see, I'm still on food. Like this entire page here is, I'm still talking about health attributes, right? I'm talking about food. Now, see, this is the part where to be a world class game designer, you have to think. Not only do you have to think, your imagination has to not just be imagining, oh, there's going to be health. You have to really narrow it down and you have to focus and you have to be okay, what exactly does health mean? What does it mean in the game, right? How do you get it? Can you get it from an NPC? What is the procedure to get it from the NPC? Do you have to pay money for it? Do you have to pay money for food? Everything about health needs to be explained. Then you can get cured with herbs. What kind of herbs do you have? How do herbs work? Don't just be like, oh, you can get cured by herbs. No, you have to describe the damned herbs. How many herbs are there? What is, how much value do you get from the herbs? Can you upgrade the herbs? Right? I'm still on herbs here. Right? It's super, super great. Okay, now I've come to the next one, which is wealth. Right now, I'm saying the currency of the game is Canucks, and wealth items has a specific Canuck value, etc., etc. Now I'm describing. So remember when I said describe, be descriptive. This is the kind of level that I'm talking about. This is how descriptive you have to be, right? There's going to be coins, there's going to be a bronze coin is going to have so much value, etc., etc., etc. Okay, again, really, really descriptive. Then here you go. Now I'm talking about how it works. How do you actually pay? How do you get money, right? So I've implemented a UI here. I've made a mock-up for a UI here in which I'm talking about how you pay, how do you give money, how do you get money, because somebody has to implement that, right? It's not just it's no use saying, okay, you have money, you can give the money. How is it going to look in the UI? Right? Where is the money going to be in the user interface? How, if there's an NPC, how do you give them money? Do you drag and drop? What value goes up? So all this stuff, a game designer's job is not just to be like, oh, you can give money. What is the exact procedure, the user interface, the flow, the player journey for each and every interaction in the game? It's insanely detailed. I have something called Maya, so here I'm explaining Maya, right? So I'm going to kind of speed through this because I'm explaining each and every darn thing in great detail. Now, for example, here I have wisdom. If you As you know more things, you're going to become more wise. As you become more wise, you're going there's going to be a glow around you. Maybe you guys can't see it, but there's this girl. She has a green glow around her. So obviously in the game, if you have a more the green glow is stronger, you're wiser, right? And then here I'm discussing the mechanic of karma, how it works. I'm actually giving numbers for it. Here, this game, the idea was that the original game, it was kind of based on the chakras. So here I'm describing them. I mean, another mock-up over here, etc., etc. So as you can see, also you guys can see, it's not just a wall of text. I have a diagram, I have a table, I have text. If it's just a wall of text, it gets very difficult to read, right? And here I've got more tables, more details. I'm just talking about the features here, guys. I'm describing them in insane detail, and that is pretty much these screenshots. I just found them from the internet, right? I'm not sure which game. I think they're from Fable. I think they were from Fable. It was 20, 10, 12 years ago, right? So now I'm getting into armed combat. Now I'm describing armed combat. They're going to be different mode. There's going to be a conflict mode. There's going to be a ranged mode. There's going to be a melee mode, and there's going to be another mode with 3D camera. So I'm not just talking about it. I have a screenshot. So I've taken a screenshot from some random game on the internet, and I've actually put in to describe how that looks. Okay. So this is a map, right? Also, you need to kind of have maps of your game world. So the basis of your level design is actually going to come from here. So here I have kind of like the first level, I have a rough map in which I've described what's going to happen, right? And then all the features, I have a mini map, deaths, what happens if you die. There's actually reincarnation in the game, all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm describing that in great detail, what happens if you die. And then there's a detailed walkthrough. Now, the detailed walkthrough is very, very, very important, right? What happens in the game? So the game starts as cinematic, etc., etc. So the detailed walkthrough describes what actually happens in the game. At least you don't have to describe the whole game. You can kind of describe one level so that the person understands exactly what the flow of the game is going to be. Guys, I'm on slide 27. Okay, as you can see. So once again, I'm describing the dialogue. I'm describing how the conversations happen. I have a basic conversation tree here, etc. And now I have some NPCs. So I have some reference images for NPCs, which obviously I haven't made. I've just got them. There's actually Ravan and there's a Yeti. I know, what was I smoking, right? So there's all kinds of crazy enemies and NPCs in there. So there's a boss there. And then there is the camera. The beat chart is not here. The beat chart is also a very, very important thing, which is a part of level design, which I probably discuss at some other masterclass. Camera. So this is the camera. There's one section which specifically talks about how the camera works, and then I'm describing the game world, overview of the game world, some references, etc., etc., etc. Now, here is where I talk about the characters. I talk about these are some reference images of the characters. As you can see, this is the main character. This is his brother, etc. This is the king. There's another guy, and then this is probably the stuff. Right. This stuff I think was not in this one. It's a separate one in which I'm describing the vehicles and the weapons, right? But these headings are there, but they're not actually filled in. And then you have the user interface. Obviously, this is how you're going to play the game, right? So you describe the controls over here, and this is of course the game interface menu, etc., etc., etc. This is the main menu screen, etc. So I'm going to stop now. Crazy, complicated game design document, right? A lot of you are going to be scared looking at it, but Now, if you that's what a triple A game design document looks like. That one was 50 pages. A game design document can easily go like 100 pages, right? Now, obviously, it's not going to be made by one person. It's going to be made by a team of designers. So it's possible that on a game which is huge, like an open world game, you have 5, 10, 15 designers on that game, right? And each designer contributes a little bit. So there's going to be a lead designer who's going to actually supervise the game design document, and they're actually going to be other people. I'm going to show you the Star Trail game design doc once again, right? Because this was much simpler. This was much simpler. So again, this was, as you can see, simple revision history, simple table of contents, right? And then you have basic description of genre, platform, engine, introduction, fiction, storyline. This is at a very, very simple. Now, if you have a game with a complicated story, obviously you're going to have an entire appendix talking about the story, right? This game didn't have much of a story. It was very, very brief. So there's just one paragraph talking about the story. And then I'm describing the gameplay. There are several object classes. There are different colors of objects. I'm describing those. I have you can pick up objects and actually get point combos. So here I describe those. I have a simple mock-up that I made of a power up. I have some points which you can get, which I've kind of described. You can see over here I've written PIE, right? Pi. Don't ask people about the word pie. They'll just give you something to eat. Pie is something that I've coined myself for my students. So pre-iteration estimate. Like don't go. So if you use the word pie to other people, they're going to be like, "Dude, what kind of pie? Apple pie?" Um, Okay, so here once again, as you can see, I'm kind of describing what I need to describe. So as you can see, this is a simple game, and this is a 6-page game design document. And this game actually got made. This game actually was released on Apple. It was released on Android many, many years ago.